A Tesla owner walks into their garage and smells burning plastic. They look at the wall where their charger is plugged in, and the outlet is melting. The wiring behind the drywall is starting to smolder. This happened because of a $15 part from Home Depot. In June 2024, NFL player Randall Cobb's family escaped their burning home after a Tesla charger fire. They got out with nothing but the clothes on their backs. And the worst part? This is one of the most common and most preventable charging mistakes Tesla owners make. There are at least 7 more that are costing people thousands of dollars, and most owners have no idea they are doing anything wrong. Number 1, the $15 outlet that burns down garages. This one scares me because it is so common and so preventable. When most people install a home charger, they go to Home Depot, buy a standard NEMA 1450 outlet for about $15, and call it a day. The outlet works fine, the car charges, everything seems great. Then 6 months later, they walk into their garage and smell burning plastic. Here is what is happening. Those cheap residential-grade outlets are designed for things like dryers and ovens, appliances that cycle on and off. They are not built for the continuous high-amperage draw that electric vehicle charging demands. Your Tesla pulls maximum current for hours at a time, every single night, and those $15 outlets just cannot handle it. I have seen forum posts with photos of completely melted outlets, scorched wiring inside walls, near-miss fires that could have been catastrophic. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple. Industrial-grade outlets from manufacturers like Bryant or Hubbell cost between $50 and $125. They have properly rated contacts and insulators designed for continuous loads. That is the difference between a reliable charging setup and a potential house fire. And here is the insurance nightmare nobody thinks about. If you did a DIY installation without permits and something goes wrong, your insurance claim could be denied. One owner had a wall connector breaker catch fire even though the installation was permitted, inspected, and to code. It turned out the previous electrician missed a damaged bus bar that nobody could see. The lesson? Do not cheap out on the outlet. Do not skip the licensed electrician. The money you save is not worth the risk. Number 2, the battery chemistry confusion that is costing owners thousands. This drives me crazy because Tesla changed the rules, and most owners never got the memo. You have probably heard the advice to keep your Tesla charged between 80% and 90% for daily driving. Do not charge to 100% unless you are taking a trip. That advice has been floating around since the early Model S days. For some Teslas, that advice is absolutely correct. For other Teslas, following that advice is actually causing problems. Here is what happened. Tesla started using 2 different battery chemistries in their cars. The long-range models use NCA or NCM batteries. Standard range models, especially newer ones, use LFP batteries. These 2 battery types have completely opposite charging requirements. For NCA batteries, the old advice still applies. Tesla's battery research partner Jeff Don recommends charging to 70% for daily use. Charging to 100% regularly accelerates degradation. For LFP batteries, Tesla explicitly says to keep your charge limit at 100%, even for daily use. These batteries need a full charge at least once a week, so the battery management system, or BMS, can calibrate properly. If you follow the old advice and keep an LFP battery at 80% all the time, you will get inaccurate range estimates and a confused BMS. The problem is most owners have no idea which battery they have. To check yours, go to Settings, then Software, then Additional Vehicle Information. It will tell you whether you have an LFP or NCA pack. If you have been following the wrong protocol for your battery type, you might already have caused unnecessary wear. When battery replacement costs run from $13,000 to $25,000, depending on your model, this is not something you want to get wrong. Number 3, cold weather charging without preconditioning. If you live somewhere with real winters, this mistake is probably costing you time and damaging your battery without you even realizing it. When a Tesla battery is cold, it cannot accept a fast charge. The chemistry just does not work efficiently at low temperatures. So when you pull up to a supercharger with a cold battery on a 20-degree day, you are not getting anywhere near the charging speed you expected. Testing has shown the difference is dramatic. A preconditioned battery can hit charging speeds around 238 kilowatts. A cold battery at the same station may only reach 135 kilowatts at maximum. That is almost half the speed. In real terms, you are looking at 10 extra minutes or more per supercharger session in cold weather. Multiply that across a whole winter of road trips, and you are losing hours. But the time is not even the worst part. Repeatedly fast charging a cold battery causes something called lithium plating. This is permanent damage to the cells that reduces capacity over time. Once it happens, there is no fixing it. The good news is Tesla built in a free solution that most owners do not use correctly. When you navigate to a supercharger using Tesla built-in navigation, the car automatically starts preconditioning the battery while you drive. It warms up the pack so it is ready to accept a fast charge when you arrive. But here is the catch. You need to start navigation at least 20 to 30 minutes before you get there. Just pulling into a supercharger and plugging in without navigation means your battery is still cold. An Auto Trader test found that preconditioned drives use 21% less energy than cold battery drives. So you are saving time, protecting your battery, and using less electricity, all by tapping a destination into your navigation. Number 4. The V2 supercharger stall sharing trap. This is one of those things that seems like it should not matter, but it absolutely does. Older V2 supercharger stations have their stalls arranged in pairs. You will see them labeled as 1A and 1B, 2A and 2B, and so on. These paired stalls share power from the same cabinet. That means if you park in stall 1A and someone else is already charging in stall 1B, you are both splitting the available power. Your charging speed drops significantly. Theirs does too. I have seen owners add 15 to 20 minutes to their charging session because they parked in the first available spot without realizing the stall next to them was occupied. The fix is simple. When you pull into a V2 station, look for an unoccupied pair. If stalls 3A and 3B are both empty, park at one of those instead of squeezing in next to someone at stall 1. V3 superchargers do not have this problem. Each stall gets dedicated power regardless of who is parked next to you. V2 stations are still common, and this stall sharing quirk catches people off guard constantly. Tesla's software now includes a tip about this, but it is easy to miss. Now you know. By the way, if you are finding this helpful, hit subscribe. I cover Tesla tips and maintenance every week, and there is a lot more coming that could save you serious money down the road. Let us keep going. Number 5. The idle fee and congestion fee double whammy. Most Tesla owners know about idle fees. You leave your car plugged in after charging completes, the station is busy, and you start getting charged 50 cents to $1 per minute until you move. What most owners do not know is there is a second fee that can stack on top. Congestion fees are separate from idle fees. These kick in while you are still actively charging if the station is crowded and your battery is above 80%. After a 5-minute grace period, you pay $1 per minute for every minute you continue charging past that threshold. So you could be charged a congestion fee for charging from 80 to 90%, and then an idle fee for not moving fast enough after charging ends. At busy stations during peak times, that combination can hit $60 per hour. Here's the part that really catches people. One owner at a valet-only parking garage received a bill for over $1,100. The valet did not move the car after charging completed. The idle fees just kept accumulating for hours. Even if you have free supercharging from an old promotion or referral credits, you still pay idle fees. That free charging benefit does not cover sitting in a stall. The solution is either charge to 80% and leave, or set a phone reminder to move your car the moment charging completes. That 5-minute grace period goes fast. Number 6. Third-party chargers that explode. I want to be clear, most third-party charging equipment works fine, but there are documented cases where things have gone very wrong, and the aftermath can be expensive and messy. A Model Y owner in France plugged into a 44-kilowatt third-party direct current fast charger. The charger exploded. It blew the pyrotechnic battery fuse inside the Tesla, and the car became completely undrivable. The repair bill exceeded $1,000, not including the tow. And here's the problem. Tesla blamed the charger manufacturer, and the charger manufacturer blamed Tesla. The owner was stuck in the middle trying to get someone to take responsibility. There are other risks too. Tesla software updates have broken compatibility with chargers that previously worked perfectly. GE Durastation and Schneider units that owners used for years suddenly stopped functioning after an update. Tesla's manual also includes a warning that most people never read. Unplugging third-party adapters while actively charging can cause arc flash, which can result in serious bodily injury and property damage. And some newer Teslas require CCS communication protocol support for third-party direct current fast chargers. Just because a connector physically fits does not mean the car will actually charge. I am not saying avoid all third-party equipment, but understand that when you step outside Tesla's ecosystem, you are taking on additional risk. And if something goes wrong, you might find yourself caught between two companies pointing fingers at each other. Number 7. The $16,000 quote that should have been $700. This one is not technically a charging mistake. It is something every Tesla owner needs to know, and it relates directly to how charging issues get diagnosed and repaired. A Model 3 owner hit some road debris and cracked a plastic fitting in the battery cooling system. A small leak, the kind of thing that happens to any car. They took it to Tesla service and the quote was $16,000 for a complete battery pack replacement. The owner got a second opinion from an independent EV shop. They found the cracked fitting, replaced the part, and fixed the issue for $700. This pattern repeats constantly. Owners get quoted $13,000 for BMS errors that independent technicians resolve for a few $100s. Tesla's diagnostic approach often defaults to replacing the whole unit rather than repairing individual components. Tesla service centers charge around $175 to $200 per hour. Independent EV specialists are often 40% cheaper. For out-of-warranty repairs, companies like GreenTech Auto offer refurbished battery options for around $9,000 compared to $13,000 or more from Tesla. I am not saying Tesla service is always wrong. For warranty work, absolutely use them. But for out-of-warranty issues, especially anything involving the battery or charging system, get a second opinion before approving a 5-figure repair. Number 8. Phantom drain and the warranty Tesla won't honor. This last one is a slow-motion disaster that catches people completely off guard. Tesla batteries drain about 1% per day, even when the car is parked and doing nothing. If you have Sentry mode running, it drains faster. Certain apps that wake the car frequently can drain it even faster. For most people, this is not a big deal. You plug in every night, the car stays charged, no problem. But here is where it becomes a very expensive problem. If you leave your Tesla unplugged for an extended period, like parking at an airport for a few weeks, that phantom drain adds up. A month of sitting unplugged could mean 30% or more of your battery gone. And if it drains all the way to zero, you are in serious trouble. When a lithium-ion battery fully discharges, it triggers an irreversible chemical reaction that can permanently damage the cells. The battery does not just go flat, it dies. And here is the part that really stings. Tesla's manual explicitly states that discharge-related expenses are not covered by the warranty. If you let your battery hit zero and it causes damage, that $13,000 to $25,000 replacement is completely on you. Before leaving your Tesla parked for any extended period, calculate how much charge you need. At least 1% per day, you will be gone, plus a comfortable safety margin. Tesla recommends keeping the battery above 50% when not plugged in for long stretches. If you are storing the car for months, look into putting it in a low power mode and checking on it periodically. A dead battery is not just inconvenient, it is potentially catastrophic for your wallet. Some of these are easy fixes. Check your outlet, learn your battery type, use navigation to superchargers. Others require a shift in how you think about ownership, like always getting second opinions on expensive repairs. The difference between informed and uninformed Tesla ownership can easily exceed $10,000 over the life of your vehicle. And now you know what to watch out for. If you want to get more out of your Tesla, I made a video on 10 voice commands that most owners do not even know exist. They make daily driving way easier once you start using them. That video is on screen now. I will see you in the next one.